Hello. Well, actually, I would be accused of being unpatriotic because I'm choosing US presidents before. But one of the reasons is that from India, when I got married, totally in love with my husband, and moved to North America, I first came to Phoenix, Arizona, and 2 years minus 6 weeks later, both of us, because my husband found his dream job, he had a PhD in computer science, moved to Toronto, Canada. That's one of the reasons. But two main reasons: the US elections are coming up, and then come November 2024, and the stage is being set for a battle between. Is it going to be Donald Trump again? What happened to Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, and all the other Republicans? All right, we will see if Mr. Trump escapes. He made it out on bail. You have to remember. He faced a jail term. And if he makes it to paying his dues, taxes, and what have you, then it could be a showdown between President Joe Biden and Donald Trump, the previous president. All right? The stage is being set for it. Okay, here goes. I will first tell you the books I referred to, and then I'll just read and discuss the excerpt. And I have a few thoughts here and there leading to everything, leading to the whole talk. So, one, The Presidential Difference by Fred I. Greenstein. Two, Back to Work, Why We Need Smart Government for a Strong Economy by Bill Clinton. Three, Decision Points by George W. Bush. Four, A Promised Land. And you will have the audio tape here for a bit of an excerpt by Barack Obama, read by the author himself. Cripple Land by Donald J. Trump. And the reading has been done by Donald J. Trump's book has been done by Jeremy Love. So that there's a portion there, and I prepared for this yesterday afternoon, and we went to a movie after. So you will have to bear a little with me. I may not be as um, as orderly in my reading and discussion of the points as I would have been yesterday evening. We went to George Miller's movie Future Rosa, and it's very good. It's mind-blowing action, as my husband put it, but it brings up a few ethical points, and you need to discuss all these points in with your friends if you are in university or if you're working. And it's but again, Mr. Miller, what's compelling you to come up with this sort of violence, huh? In in Australia, is it, are the Aussies violent? The Aussies, I know, the Aussies with whom we've seen years ago, all just played cricket and were a nice set of people. And I've even read a book, Outback Annie, which is an Aussie book. Anyways, coming back to um, my discussion. First, I had a few essays about Barack Obama. One I've published on Joe Biden, the Mount Rushmore presidents and Joe Biden on my Facebook page, and that's also really well researched. And I have a few points of my own. And for the second election, for re-election, of Barack Obama's re-election, I come up with the points of Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King Jr., and their contributions. You know their contributions. Thomas Jefferson, Declaration of Independence; Abraham Lincoln, the Civil War; Martin Luther King Jr., the Civil Rights Bill, along with, of course, the two, JFK and Lyndon B. Johnson, John F. Kennedy and Lyndon B. Johnson. He had to have presence to pass the Civil Rights Bill. So the fourth one was Barack Obama, who at the time had Obama, to his credit, Obamacare, the Affordable Health Care Plan, and the Lilly Ledbetter Bill, and which promises equal pay for equal work for women in the workforce. And did he have anything else at that time? Some other contribution, but I didn't give it much thought then. But I thought free contraceptives was good. But then it's encouraging depravity in society. I think now my son has grown up, but at that time I was younger. He came a while back. He came in 2009 January. So I like the thought that free contraceptives to feminist women out there was good because it prevented pregnancies out of wedlock and that sort of thing. So, anyways, so that was the point. But now I should begin with George H.W. Bush, but I began with Bill Clinton. And then do I have? Okay, yeah. Bill Clinton's policy and what led me to it. I'll read an excerpt from his book. Yeah, from his book. He has spoken about President Obama's energy policy, and going back, the progress in wind energy is particularly impressive. On a windy day in Texas, wind power can spike to 25% of total generation. It's 20% in Ottawa. More than 50% of the contents of current turbines installed in the United States are made in heaven, with more to come. In Michigan, and USA is constructing the first foundry, URV USA, built in America in decades to provide the most up to date wind turbine casting. In 2009, enough new wind capacity was installed to power 3 million homes. And our wind power potential is staggering 37 trillion kilowatt hours, almost 10 times our existing needs. And so he goes on to say why he's a big fan of President Obama's energy policy and of the leadership of the Secretary of State, Stephen Chu. And so I thought this would be a nice a topic to discuss. And because Bill Clinton's policy itself, the uh, has been discussed in the on the International Atomic Energy Agency website. If I can locate that, I'll come to an important solar panels in the White House, the Canadian Encyclopedia. Where was this? Solar reviews, and I think I have I've taken it out. And it was discussed. I've taken that out. Something odd happens in our house. This is Toronto. Oh. Okay, let me see. I pulled out a White House solar panels, and I pulled this out. Um, this International Atomic Energy Agency website. I think I have a screenshot of it. That's what it is. Take screenshot of it. First discuss. Yes, I do. Okay, this is from the yes. During the election, Bill Clinton did speak of four guiding principles that would be behind his energy policy. And they are increased energy efficiency and conservation, the expanded use of renewable energy sources, the greater use of natural gas, and the establishment of a safe, environmentally sound energy framework. It's important to remember that President Clinton, this is back from his days, right? From his days as president, holds views on nuclear power that are firmly in the mainstream of current American public opinion. The president does not need the need to close down existing plants. There is no talk of a nuclear phase out in the United States. On the other hand, contrary to past administrations, there will not be a promotion of nuclear power, primarily for two reasons. There is the belief that they're not economically competitive at the time, at this time. There is the regu- vague notion that people do not want them right now. So of course, you have to see that it goes on the fate of nuclear power, and I thought I would argue the fact that nuclear power, uh, because I have nuclear engineering courses. I'm actually a chemical engineer with dual master's degrees, and both masters, and I even have a C programming certificate from continuing engineering education, and both the master's programs, my Master of Engineering and Master of Applied Science, came from the Department of Chem in the University of Toronto. And I thought I would argue the pros of nuclear power because all of a sudden in Canada, in Alberta, there was a drought because of the fires which happened last summer. I mean, Canada having fires, can you believe it? But it got so hot, all this climate change effects, greenhouse gas emissions, etc. And so I thought nuclear power would be the way to go because hydroelectricity would have to be, used. Hydro would have to be used only for hydropower. Now, hydroelectricity would have to take a back seat, and of course, wind turbines. That's an issue, but all the time it's not. Iowa, because sometimes if we have heavy winds in Toronto, you get scared. You actually kind of get pushed and things like that. So it's a bit scary, heavy winds. So, and in winter it gets too cold also to heavy winds. Not, but we may be able to harness the wind power and produce energy, but it would not be suitable for day-to-day living. So we don't want that sort of uh, wind power in our lives. But of course, Oklahoma and Iowa, they have tornadoes and twisters and that sort of thing. All right. So nuclear energy. So I will refrain from arguing for the pros of nuclear power plants, although we have a good one in Toronto, the Pickering power plant, nuclear power plant, and it supplies most of the electric power in Toronto, I think. Some of it comes from hydroelectricity. This is from an old article I read in the newspaper. Can't even remember if it was Toronto Star or it's the Globe. It's been the Globe and Mail for so long now. So I don't know. And uh, Pickering, I think it's near the Chalk River. Pickering power plant is near the Chalk River. And Chalk River could be used for. How big is the river? I really have to study this to figure out if there's a uh, hydroelectricity possibility from there, and is it being used. And of course you would have to have a turbine again, and a mechanical turbine which takes the water, and um, I've discussed this on my LinkedIn webpage. The engineering is not clicking fast enough on me. Anyway, this is a political talk, mechanical turbine, and which converts it to the water, the electric power, the mechanical turbine. So you'll have to translate mechanical power into electric power. This is what engineers do. So consult me as an engineer, and I'm going to come up with a solution. All right. So here, that was what I want to say. But I just thought I would discuss because the US has, in some engineering ways, as has Canada, shown the way. And I just thought this is from Solar Refuse. It's a blog from the White House solar panels. And my father, I remember when I was the third grade, telling me the president of the United States of America is Jimmy Carter. So I thought Jimmy Carter's decision to install solar panels on the White House in 1979 to harness solar energy it has was groundbreaking at the time. And how each president, I will just so Jimmy Carter back then was a clean energy champion. Was, I guess, against uh, coal powered plants. And early on, you see, the climate change was not an issue back then. And this was. In a cleaner approach to energy creation, and he was a proponent of all that. And uh, you can read the rest, Reagan's decision, and from here, of course, George W. Bush, and it goes on. So I just wanted to touch on um, um, Jimmy Carter because he was. And next, I looked at decision points, and yeah, there's a picture of George W. Bush there. Oh, this is George H.W. Bush, with his father. Clinton administration. All right. So Clinton administration, when George W. Bush came in, had permitted federal funding for embryonic stem cell research. This was, I need to go back in time, and this is what he has spoken about. George W. Yeah, W. Bush. H.W. I'll come to George H.W. Bush. 1 year I had under H.W. Bush, George H.W. Bush. And so he goes on to ask what exactly is a stem cell, George W. Bush, to the lady. I don't think. I'm sorry. Margaret Spellings, White House. This is in the White House, and this was a complex issue for him. It was all the beginning of stem cell research. You to see, and she so Margaret Spells is explaining to him embryonic stem cells are a special medical resource because they can transform into a wide variety of different cell types. Just as the stem of a vine grows into many distinct branches, embryonic stem cells have the capacity to grow into nerve cells for the brain, muscle tissues for the heart, or other organs. These cells offer a possible way to treat ailments from juvenile diabetes to Alzheimer's to Parkinson's. The technology was new and the science was unproven, but the potential was significant. However, the only way to extract embryonic stem cells is to destroy the embryo. This raised a moral dilemma. Could the destruction of one human life be justified by the hopes of saving others? So that goes on. You can look at the book, and at this time, because when I wanted to work in stem cell research. I was at enzymes. I was working in enzymes. I had an 18-month research project, and Professor Peter Zunstra in biomedical biochemical engineering in the University of Toronto had gotten $1 million. Yeah, back then in 2002, it was a lot of money in research funding. He had gotten, and I go to him, I submit my resume, and I say, I'm a fast learner, I could learn. And he says, you need cell culture. And I said, no, I pick up things very fast. I'm a fast learner. I can pick up cell culture. And he did not like that. I remember that. I have not met the man. I think next year I went to Iogen Corporation with my son. I had a son there. When I moved to Iogen, I even drove to Ottawa and back for the interview on one day. In one day. So I was capable of a lot more, but not capable of talking like this about presidents. I mean, preparing and talking and connecting. I would write, but occasionally I had other busy things to do because I was raising a young child too. I was married to my husband, who demands quality time with his family. You have to see. So that was also there. And my son, when I moved to Iogen Corporation in Ottawa, it was a pioneer in coming up with bioethanol at that time. It was all, again, way back then, 2001, 2002. It was all picking up bioethanol. clean energy, clean air, and so Asian Corporation was also uh, showed the world the way by coming up with bioethanol, and it had other applications too. The company did other R&D stuff. The enzymes was the way to go, and uh, that was also there. So coming back, I wanted to stress the point that embryonic stem cell research must have taken a back seat with the Roe versus Wade decision abolished. The Roe versus decision legalized abortion, right? So, and it has been abolished, and I think 20 states in the US now. At last, I remember reading about. And interestingly enough, where does stem cell research stand at this time? You're not getting women changing their mind on unwanted pregnancies. And coincidentally, we were in the US just 10 days back for 8 days, Arizona, and I flew into Las Vegas. My husband was there at a conference. He presented in a conference. He was there for 5 days. I flew into Las Vegas, and we drove around Arizona. We went to Grand Canyon, Flagstaff, Monument Valley, Sedona, all around, and Jerome, where the Jerome has a husbands only street. You can tell what that is. Red light district, I guess. And yeah, these men, I mean, give them a chance. They are going to go out there. But I'm going away from the topic. I will come back to this. Jerome has um, a husband's only portion. It's also very pretty, and it has a museum and nice ice cream parlor, ice cream shop, and uh, the works. Small place. Don't get think you're going to be seeing Phoenix out there, because it was in Arizona, and it's way up in the mountains. It was a mining town which was abandoned all of a sudden, which had become a ghost town, and then it developed life again, I guess. So it has rose bushes in Arizona, rose bushes up in the mountains, so cooler. A lot, 3 houses. They had roses, the rose bushes. Oh, lots of wild roses growing there. Interesting. Husband Street, wild roses connect. So that is good. Anyways, Arizona has had this law from 1864, and the law prohibited abortions, and it did not provide any exceptions for rape or incest. But it allowed, but I guess Arizonians had a heart. Um, it allowed abortions only if the mother's life was in jeopardy. I think Barry Goldwater's life name came up here in this connection, but the whole Barry Goldwater. I mean, you read up on Barry Goldwater. He's an Arizonian. Was an Arizonian governor, right? And you will dig up very conservative, very Republican, and yeah, he had said Hillary Clinton should resort to pillow talk to convince Bill Clinton to it, use her way of thinking. Um, Feminist me had gotten upset, but then back then I used to have. I don't know if I did pillow talk because I would go to sleep, but um, now I think maybe that might be a way, because a lot of work is not getting me in the right direction. But I'm kidding. But my husband couldn't get me ahead. My husband is an expert in computer science, and he works elsewhere. But give it a chance. Maybe I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I would not do that to my husband. All right. So um, so long before, and this was before Arizona became a state. Arizona became a state on February 14th, Valentine's Day. Interesting, 1912, and this this had been blocked by Barry Goldwater. Arizona actually allowed abortions then, quite liberal. compared to the Texans. You would think the Texans would allow abortions. I mean, there's line dancing, and Arizona has it too. Square dancing, and we went to a restaurant which was advertising that a whole evening of line dancing lessons or something like that. Yeah, and had been blocked, and this 1864 law had been blocked since the U.S. Supreme Court's 1973 Roe versus Wade decision, guaranteeing the constitutional right to an abortion nationwide. Interestingly enough, but stem cell research, but research has progressed. There's other ways of getting stem cells. I mean, you could grow them, you could maybe clone them. I don't know. And so research is advanced. So this is an obsolete debate. It does not take us anywhere. So next, I move to Barack Obama, and I would first, at this time, before I go, let you listen to Barack Obama's voice, memorable voice, which is sexier. I must not say this though, because they are heads of nations, and they do not listen to them thinking their voice is sexy. Justin Trudeau's or Barack Obama? Justin Trudeau has flamboyance. I see that. Because sometimes with panache, he delivers dialogue. But Barack Obama deliberates style. Uh, I mean, there's the right intonation between words and a bit of you know, Hawaiian yank in him, and both of them have really good voices. But my man for the money I bet on is Joe Biden now. Joe Biden is going to come in again. All right, he's going to be reelected. Anyways, I will just stress on this point because Bill Clinton began so many of the so began he- ha- had the, began the Israeli the end to the Israeli Palestinian conflict. He won the Nobel Prize, a Peace Prize, along with Itzhak Rabin, Yasser Arafat. It's Yasser Arafat, and paved the way for peace in the Middle East. But look at what has happened in the Middle East now. Hamas just unleashed for no reason. There was a bit of truce, but these people who say that it must be all the way and not half the way must see that there's a lot of death and destruction in the process, and uh, even in the Russia Ukraine. Maybe meet them halfway. That's not so bad because your people are dying, your country is being destroyed. See if you can reach truce, meet them. But but then, of course, the Olympics happened in 1996, Atlanta Olympics in the US. So I just want to talk about the Waco tragedy, where the people killed themselves. They were all cult followers, and in the Waco, Texas, and this was could not be prevented. And I remember the U.S. Attorney General at the time, Janet Reno, was appointed by the newly uh, elected Bill Clinton, defending him vehemently. My woman's instinct, feminine instinct, said that she may have a tundra for Bill Clinton. She looked good. I mean, she was okay, but not Monica Lewinsky, of course, with whom he ended up having an affair. Very sad because such a fine president, did the wrong thing morally speaking. Let his sexual side get the better of him, but sorry, but that's the way it goes. Janet Reno, and I was, but these days I think all these women who develop tundras for men somewhere jack them, because I have to check on this. Because I was told that Janet Reno opposed him on most counts of policies, but she had a tundra for him, um, you know, languished in. But was the U.S. Attorney General. I mean, how better could life get? I don't think she had children, so life could get a little better in some other ways. Because I look at my own couple of female professors, but some of them have it all. There's the associate chair, Molly Shikett, in the Department of Chemical Engineering, the University of Toronto, who has two sons. One, the older one, 3 days older than my own son, and the lady is 3 years older than me, and the second son younger, and she has it all. Lots of awards and everything. Looks good too. Yeah, yeah. Believes in complete makeup now, and so Lewis with an iron hand, iron fist. Professor Allen maybe quakes, maybe PG Woodhouse's, Constance Keeble, but I don't know. Anyways, we mustn't talk like that. But I don't. I don't know Professor Shoikin. I know Professor Phillips and Professor Chang from having taken courses, and both of them are unmarried, and for women so talented, so intelligent, and having been societies, having aided societies grow, because they graduated female feminist chemical engineers. It's unfortunate that they chose to remain single and not choose the social society's usual way, but they're very successful. Anyway, so that was my point. But okay, we go on to Barack Obama's promised land. I chose. I must use. I made points for myself. I listened to quite a bit, in jumping portions, that sort of thing, and his a description of Nicolas Sarkozy. Nicolas Sarkozy was the president of um, France, and he says he he strutted like a bantam cock. That's the usual expression, but he said he put out his chest like a bantam cock or something like that. But very complimentary about Angela Merkel and Nicolas Sarkozy, and he looked like Nicolas Sarkozy looked like somebody out of a Toulouse-Lautrec painting. Oh, nobody! I've never heard this description before. And sweetheart deal, sweetheart. I would like a sweetheart deal publication with fair payment. All of you, all of my work endeavors, receivers. That would be a sweetheart deal for me. That's a good one. So here, so I chose Captain Phillips, the portion of Captain Phillips, and that's 46 to 49. And I've chose the next is okay. I will just show you this because you can listen to the book on your own. How do we go back? Okay, 40. Oh, 44, 46. We will go further ahead. Oh no, we go back here. Oh, 44. Okay, we will listen to some. Oh, this is. This is a law. Maybe I should copyright law. This is a book, Promised Land. It's a reading by him. I will just talk about the points I had. You can listen to him. And uh, like I have I told you Donald Trump's crippled plan, and there's an excerpt from there too. So I had actually marked out the rescue of Captain Phillips. It's been made into a movie. Tom Hanks and oh, the famous Somalian pirate actor. He was so good, and we all cried because he was shot dead. But it was wrong. He should not have been a Somalian pirate, and that's the real life. Look for it or go through the whole book. And you can see how he planned. And I also tried to see if I could in the short time. We were going to the movie, otherwise I would have researched and researched. But it's hard in an audiobook because they don't actually tell you, give you a leading title for the chapters to go to which chapter. So I thought I would even have you listen to, but you can fast forward fast enough. Have you listen to another coup of, political coup of Barack Obama, the Osama bin Laden's killing. And they were all watching when the drone went and put an end to a mean, bad, evil terrorist. And so, what did I have to share here? I was reading about the Malaya about his report on about her report on tigers, for she had seen one with a Mona Lisa smile in the Honolulu Zoo with her aunt. Now, I have to interject here because I myself am a mother of a son who's Malaya's age, just a few months apart. Malaya came, I think, in June 1998, and Pranav came in November 1998, and so he Pranav had done a school project with his pal Zain on Bengal tigers. It was Mr. Shuk's class, and he was an encouraging teacher, as was Mr. Strand. And you have to mention, I have to mention the fact Mr. Shuk was quite handsome. Also, Mr. Strand, of course, was all math and science agenda, and I think he was some Oriental. I can't remember if it was Vietnamese or Korean, and he had a taking way about him too. Very, very into encourage Prana to come out of his. I'd fallen a little sick then, and for some time very sick, but I coped with life, and sort of began to be one of these um, British wives who depend heavily on their husband. Um, but how heavily? My husband used to work long hours, so a lot of work I used to do myself. I mean, he would I think for 4 months he held the fort cooking. But anyways, that's not my agenda. Presidents, U.S. presidents, and yeah. So I went to their class to see the science show, and the Bengal tiger in the picture on the project they'd written down neatly. I think Pranav and then had a Tigger smile. Do you know who Tigger is? Barack Obama is Tigger. Winnie the Pooh is Jinping. Yeah, yeah. These are all nuggets of information my son used to give me. I miss some of those days. And so, yeah. And you have to read more of chapter 21, listen to more of chapter 21, which I had you listen to, climate change and his radical views about greenhouse gas emissions for 2009 and 2010, Barack Obama's, and of course, all these ideals, political ideals, have been more, I guess, adopted by Justin Trudeau before he made it to prime minister, because Stephen Harper at the time did not believe in climate change reduction strategy. and he was a naysayer in and it was in our in Canada. It was in our own neck of the woods. It was Stephen Harper who was prime minister for. Towards the end, of course, there was Justin Trudeau, but that was the end of Barack Obama's term, and. I had to say the Kyoto Protocol began the whole mission of protecting our environment. This was in 1997, and the Paris Accord under Francois Hollande strengthened it. I was even naive enough to ask Francois Hollande to fly me. I submitted my resume and asked him if he would fly me in to present a paper. I had a paper. I think that was the time Justin Trudeau was in power then. Yeah, but well, I have to make it back, crawl my way back in, and a lot of research I've presented. But we'll see. All right, I will do Trump and President Trump, and I think I have something about George H.W. Bush. What did I want to say? George H.W. Bush. Okay, we will. Okay, we'll do Trump because 1 year I had. Okay. All right, we'll go back to what I have on my notes, and he's also the reader. This is his book, Trump's book, right? So his whole plan to build a great wall on the southern U.S. border, we all know that, put an end to the Mexican influx of Mexican immigrants, illegal and legal, and have Mexico pay for it was a plan I disagreed with myself. And he himself said he wanted to increase spending on defense, and I think Justin Trudeau. He insisted Justin Trudeau increases defense spending to now. I don't remember the percentage exactly now, from to 10%, contribute that much to NATO, and everybody had to increase their contributions to NATO. So we would all be a stronger nation. We would all be stronger nations defense wise. Uh, yeah. So that's what I wanted to talk about. And George H.W. Bush, I think, was the presidential difference. I think I have a screenshot of this. Okay, this was okay. Well, of course, his contribution to the Kuwait being attacked by Saddam Hussein, and the U.S. rescuing Kuwait. You all know about 1991 or the original Iraq War, and what. Okay, I just wanted to say he said, "Read my lips, no more taxes." That was his famous slogan. And they attacked and attacked the Bill Clinton. I was new at the time, and I followed the election, U.S. election, and so he said apparently. Bush could have denied political capital from the compromise. Um, Okay, I'll read the entire paragraph. In 1990, he did. Okay, I have to go back to the other paragraph. After extensive negotiations with the leaders of the two congressional parties, he agreed to support a tax increase. Bush could have derived political capital from the compromise, by stressing the constructive features, but he made no serious attempt to justify the increase. And he worsened matters with a dismissive comment when reporters asked him about his change of position during one of his morning jogs. He was in one of his jogs. Bill Clinton also used to do a lot of jogging. And pointing to his buttocks, George H.W. Bush said he tossed off the throwaway line, read my hips. So Shakira's line came to my mind, my hips don't lie, and I guess that is what I wanted to talk about here, but that's not, do I have another, uh, mm, okay, Colin Powell, of course, was his Secretary of State, Colin Powell. No, did war, right? War. Oh yeah, defense, Secretary of Defense, and aggression against Kuwait, and I'll give you the page number in this book. You can perhaps read, and I wanted to read the early 1991 war. In the Dick Cheney, you set out to meet. Was this Dick Cheney? Dick Cheney, I thought came. No, I've cut. It could be a different Cheney. Maybe not Dick Cheney. Well, the movie was made about Dick Cheney, who was uh, George W. Bush's vice president. James Baker, wasn't it? In the months ahead, Bush, Baker, Scowcroft, and Cheney set out to meet Powell's criteria. And what was Powell's criteria? Was a twice wounded Vietnam veteran who took two lessons from the conflict. Oh, they were all representatives of World War II generation. It's interesting. It's dying out. I mean, Barack Obama could not even relate to the Vietnam War. He was a child, I think, or even a child. And apparently, Powell was a twice wounded Vietnam veteran who took two lessons from that conflict, World War II, no, Vietnam. The United States should never embark on a major military action without domestic and international support. And if it did take action, it should do so decisively and have a strategy for extricating itself when its goal was accomplished. So, the 1991 war, there's a whole description about it. And congressional resolution of support for military action. If Iraq did not meet the UN deadline for withdrawing from Kuwait, January 15, 1991, there was this whole famous Roger Waters song, and I think that's all I have. This was what I wanted to read, but it's a long excerpt, and I'll let you enjoy it for yourself. So I finished what I had to say about what I had to say. Oh, it's a long talk. I've had a lot of points. And I will just go with a short enactment. This is an ending. My talk has ended on US presidents. If you don't want a bit of fun in your lives, then because it was a serious talk, then you should stop listening. All right, I've already reached 49 minutes. I've never done a 1 hour talk, I think. Am I going to reach a 1 hour? Probably not, shy of 1 hour. So, and this is supposed to be a dialogue between Adam and Eve, and it's an original piece of dialogue from me. All right, nobody has there must be theater if Adam and Eve is a done topic. Everybody talks about Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve are in the Garden of Eden. It is a beautiful spring day. The birds are singing and the flowers are blooming. God is busying himself, planning his next creations. Adam, to Eve, of course. What shall I call you? God introduced you as Eve. You're beautiful. Interesting. As I look at you, something strange is happening to my biological definition as a man. God did not warn me about this. Eve, I feel a certain shyness come over me. Am I doing this to you? I feel flattered. I look at you and realize that I should pluck an apple and eat it to see how it tastes. Adam, after a little while, I will eat an apple too. The apple is red and delicious. The apple has seeds in it, which don't say it tastes so good. Eve, would you like to taste the apples I have on my body? I promise you that they are juicy, for I feel the juice of life brim to the forefront in me. Adam, I want to explore and know all of God's future creations. But here you are, so beautiful and full of the splendor of creation. Maybe I shall study some of the flowers, for I see their beauty in you. Eve, come to me, Adam, for I hold one of my apples for you to taste. Study the rose in me, and I would love to see what you're going to do to me. Adam, perhaps, God, this is a test for me as to what lies in wait after I taste Eve's apples and study the complexities of the rose petals. Will I also plan other creations? That's the end of my reading. Thank you, and you've been very nice.